Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Across the Pond, e-commerce recruiting with Adam and Andy. We are super excited to be here and do this video series. We are the top e-commerce recruiters in the field, as you know. I am based in the US and Andy is based in the UK. We thought it'd be really interesting to get the different perspective in both countries, both cultures, around e-commerce, what's going on in these countries, these regions, and what we do from the e-commerce recruiting side. So I met Andy Davies when we were creating a spreadsheet of individuals who've been impacted by COVID-19 through layoffs, furloughs, offers rescinded. It's just a crazy time right now. And Andy was building something similar for e-commerce candidates in the UK, for e-commerce individuals in the UK. So we got to know each other. We have a very similar style. Obviously, we're in a very similar space, both being e-commerce recruiters, and came together to put on this video series. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun for people, be very informative, and we're going to do this on a regular basis. So to introduce myself, oh, go ahead, Andy.
I was going to say you're being modest there, because we were thinking about doing something similar with the list, but we weren't sure exactly what we were going to do. And yeah, someone I know, I think, was commenting on yours, or spotted it, or yeah, I'd seen yours first, so yeah, you were the inspiration, Adam.
No, I appreciate it, but you took it and ran with it, so kudos to you as well. And it's been helping a lot of people. We've been getting a lot of people hired from the spreadsheet, which is amazing. The list is continuing to grow. It's still very crazy times right now, but it feels incredibly good that we're able to help as many people as possible with this list. And for people that don't know, the list is free. We're publicly distributing this list to hiring managers, anyone on LinkedIn that's hiring, so that they can take a look, see if there's anybody on there that might fit their open positions, and getting conversations started that way. So that's been quite effective. If you'd like to be on the list, let us know. I'll drop a link to that with the video, so you can be added, or just contact me if you're in the US, or Andy if you're searching for roles in the UK. And we just actually added a separate field for new graduates and interns as well. I noticed that these folks were having a really hard time breaking into e-commerce just because of the job market being so insane right now. So they need some help also, some visibility. And we added a new section on there that I think is going to be really effective for them too. So if you're hiring for any entry-level roles or internships all across the US or remote, take a look. Let me know if there's somebody on there that might be of interest to you, or feel free to reach out to them directly. And yeah, start the conversation. So just to introduce ourselves, I am Adam Rose, and I'm the founder of eCommerce Placement, e-commerce recruiting firm here in the US, and we recruit for online retailers, internet companies in the e-commerce space, and digital agencies all across the board. So we recruit for e-commerce leadership positions, digital marketing, site merchandising, web analytics, operations, logistics and fulfillment, creative, technology, really anything that touches upon e-commerce. We're recruiting across the US, and we have been doing this for about 10 years. And we are very much embedded in the e-commerce community. We have a huge network of e-commerce talent, e-commerce professionals that we maintain and build relationships with. So that has been incredibly effective for us and for our clients. And I know that Andy in the UK, you do something very similar as well, and I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, I'm Andy Davies. I'll try and keep this succinct. I'm a director at Vertical Advantage and a founder of Nurture Talent, two businesses that we have that are kind of partner brands, I suppose. Vertical Advantage predominantly focused on the consumer space, so a lot of FMCG, consumer tech, and a lot of kind of the agencies and service providers around that market. The team that I head up at the minute is digital and e-commerce. I've been involved with other areas of our business in the past, where we have teams in sales and marketing, more traditionally retail focused, and supply chain, logistics, ops, all of that stuff. Nurture Talent, slightly different. So we're an in-house talent solution, a bit more sector agnostic, but generally kind of focused on scale up startup, scale-up businesses who don't have that kind of internal capability, and we provide that just on a monthly subscription basis.
Yeah, so you must be incredibly busy with two businesses, two e-commerce recruiting businesses.
Yeah, certainly. It's, well, I mean, we'll come on to talk about it, I suppose, but it's been completely different across the board, actually, depending
Yeah.
on where the clients are, what they do, where they're at in their journey. I think actually we found, I was talking to someone about this earlier, with Nurture, we've probably, we've got a lot of clients who are Series A going into Series B, but actually there's a bit of nervousness in that space around how easy it's going to be to raise in the current climate.
We
So
see
they've
that too
probably
here.
been a bit, some of them have been a bit hesitant to say, actually, cash flow needs to last us a bit longer than we were maybe planning on, and the runway needs to be stretched out a bit. So we're probably, and look, the beauty of kind of our solution, they're not trying to sell it too much, but is that it's a monthly, subscription, so you can turn it off and turn it on when it suits.
Smart.
And vertical advantage, we really, we're not as busy as we normally would be, but actually, being in e-commerce in FMCG at the minute, from a recruitment perspective, is probably one of the better places to be, I suppose. A lot of those businesses are busier than they've ever been. So there's still a reasonable amount going on there.
Yeah, good. And we're seeing that here too. And again, if you're on our spreadsheet, if you're looking for an e-commerce role and you've been laid off or furloughed and having some difficulty now, hang in there. I promise you that you are in the right field. Things will pick up. E-commerce is going to be a focus even more so than it has been in the past. Digital transformation is going to be going at a rapid speed at this point. Companies that haven't invested as much as they thought they should have in e-commerce or omnichannel are going to be investing very heavily. Agencies and vendors are going to start hiring like crazy to meet the needs of these companies as well. So I really do believe that you're in the right space. Just hang in there, and we'll get through this. So we e-commerce here in the U.S. During COVID-19, it's been crazy. There are a lot of companies obviously laying people off that are having financial difficulty.
Sorry, Adam, just with that, because one of the questions I get a lot when people see us talking about this list of people is like, surely that's not the area of the business where people are letting people go. So why are there people on the list? I've had a few people say that to me. I'm surprised that there are, e-commerce people available at the minute. So what is it that, why is it that you're seeing businesses?
Yeah, so it is very strange that these are areas of the business that they should be investing in heavily, especially right now. But they've been hit so hard financially, they can't invest in it properly at the moment. So I think that's been the biggest issue. And of course, we have companies in travel and hospitality that have just, been decimated. So they have no other choice right now.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that, but we are seeing half of our clients still hiring like crazy. I mean, there are a lot of industries right now that are doing incredibly well, where items are flying off the digital shelves. So you have consumer health, beauty, toys, pet products, home goods, outdoor furniture. I mean, there are areas of the business of e-commerce right now that companies are at a point in their e-commerce volume where they wanted to be a year from now, but they haven't hired accordingly. So things are moving so quickly that their operational processes are actually breaking down. I mean, this is a good problem to have. So these companies are hiring like crazy, and there is opportunity out there. And if you are looking, think about the companies right now, the types of products that are doing very well selling online. And these are companies that you may want to target. So are you seeing the same thing in the UK?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's it's difficult to, people say how's the market doing? I think it's difficult to talk about the market as a whole because it's so extreme. There's a real juxtaposition between the businesses who are doing really, really well at one end and not so well at the other, and kind of you can't say there's a hiring is kind of almost on an individual basis as to
Yeah.
how the company are doing it, and also how they're managing the current situation. Because some businesses here who are probably, doing well still and haven't been hit, but have decided not to hire remotely. So that, there's things like that as well. I
Yeah.
think there's obviously just the people in unfortunate situations who've were about to move somewhere, resigned from a previous job. The new job's been pulled, but the old job's not there anymore. So there is just,
Yeah, they're
people
stuck in limbo. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that, and it is incredibly depressing that this has been happening to people. So very similar situations, offers being rescinded, new grads that had offers right out of school that
Yeah.
unfortunately those have been rescinded. So, we're trying to do what we can to help these people, but I'm telling you, hang in there. Things will get better. There will be a light at the end of the tunnel, and e-commerce is really where you want to be. It's an interesting e-commerce is an interesting field because you don't really go to school for it. There's really no undergraduate degrees for e-commerce. It's something that you kind of fall into. So if you get a marketing degree, you might fall into digital marketing or another functional area within e-commerce. I do my best to educate new grads or those that will be graduating soon why they should be entering this field, why there's so much opportunity, why it's a really interesting area. There's so many different functional areas that they can get involved in, and the future is extremely bright. The amount of growth that we're seeing in e-commerce is extremely bright. And I know that we both come from different e-commerce recruiting backgrounds. I started out in financial services, and I found it incredibly boring. It wasn't until I found e-commerce recruiting that I really, really got into it. These roles are just fun to recruit for. They're fun to market to candidates because what they're going to be doing is really interesting, and that's part of the job that I do that I really enjoy is being able to present really interesting opportunities to candidates, ones that are better than those that they currently have, or could be a really good move for them in terms of their career growth. In e-commerce, you get a lot of those opportunities. So I can't talk about it highly enough.
Yeah, certainly. And I'd say one of the points to go back to about what we were talking before in terms of people who are looking right now and people who find themselves in limbo or looking for whatever reason. I don't know if you've seen the same, but I think one of the things that we've definitely seen is because some brands who've not really set up to have the kind of level of e-commerce sales that they're currently having are, as you said, kind of being stretched operationally. We've seen kind of some of that slack being picked up by agency specialists. So actually that's probably the first area where we saw hiring actually really kicking off was, the certainly Amazon consultancies who'll take care of your listings and your, Amazon media and content and all of that stuff. And actually the work's just saying, right, we can't hire quickly enough here, but we can outsource it to these guys to do that. So I've been saying to a lot of people, I think that's a really good area to look. If you spent your career brand side, but actually are looking now, that agency world, consultancy, however you want to phrase it, is it's been a pretty good space, I think, in the last month.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, I think, a really good idea for us. I think we should do a video specifically for individuals that are looking to change directions. Maybe they are brand side and now they want to move agency side, or for a software as a service company. How do you position yourself for that? And how do you make sure that your experience translates? How do you compete against candidates that already have this type of background, that are already agency side or have worked for software as a service company, but this is the first time that you're looking to make that switch? And I think there are certain ways that you can do that to make your candidacy more attractive.
Yeah, certainly. And that kind of the point from there is to anyone who hopefully is watching it and hasn't, turned off by now, that we've got a few ideas of what these episodes are going to look like, but we're pretty open to, what people want us to talk about, what people want to hear us talking about, if that is anything at all. So yeah, anyone who's got any questions, thoughts for topics, things that they want us to answer, then send them over to either of us and we'll try and include them.
Yeah, definitely. And I would love to explore the differences between the US and the UK. So if you're head of e-commerce here in the US, or you're working in some sort of e-commerce function in the US, you may have no idea what's going on in the UK, where they're at in the e-commerce process and volume and roles that they're hiring for, and what these companies are currently up to. So
Yeah.
if you have any questions based on what things are like across the pond, let us know. We'll get that answered. Or if you have any questions at all regarding e-commerce recruiting or how to best position yourself or whatever it may be, let Andy and I know, and we'd love to answer this in a video for you.
Yeah,
Good.
please do.
Good, excellent. So I know that you were working from home, and it looks like you're still working from home, right?
I am, yeah. My wife and daughter have just got back, so there you go. The door just closed.
Yeah. Good, excellent. So I have 2 kids myself, and like many of us now, obviously working from home, trying to deal with online schooling and keeping the kids busy and trying to get work done at the same time. It's been insane. How have you been handling this?
Yeah, and I think it's probably easier for me, to be honest, than you with the age of your kids. I've got an 18-month-old daughter who, we don't have to worry about schooling. And for a long time, we were back at my parents', and actually my brother and his wife and their 2 kids were there. So there were quite a lot of us, a lot of shared childcare and kids to kind of entertain each other. So yeah, pretty good. My wife's a teacher, and she's been working kind of 2 or 3 hours a day, but can kind of manage that around when our daughter sleeps. So
yeah, but that must be a big change for her. Is she doing online distance learning?
Yeah, exactly. So kind of a lesson a day over video, and then marking homework and things like that.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, my kids are 6 and 4, 2 boys. They're crazy. Love them to death, but they're crazy. We have our 6-year-old who is doing online distance learning for kindergarten. Our 4-year-old, we have to keep from bothering him while he's doing online education. We have a new puppy. He's a 90-pound golden retriever, is a year old, and he tries to eat everything. So trying to keep him busy as well while also working is just, it is incredibly insane. But I think that, I've been working remotely for a long time now, and I enjoy it. I get a lot more work done working remotely. It's just right now, with everybody being home, it's very difficult. I'm hoping when things get a bit back to normal and the kids are back in school, it'll get a bit easier. But I really do see remote work as being the future of e-commerce. I've been talking about this a lot lately, and we're seeing more and more companies that are keeping their roles remote, even when things get back to normal, or they're doing some sort of half remote schedule, 2-3 days working from home, and having shared workspace that anybody come into and get together and collaborate if they want to. If you think about talent acquisition and retention, one of the biggest asks that we get is, do we have remote positions? It's just what everybody is asking for at the moment. We have the spreadsheet. We even ask on there, are you open to remote opportunities? 99% of the people on there said yes. I mean, that should tell you something. But even companies that are reluctant to offer remote work opportunities, they're going to be forced into it. And they're going to have no other option. If their competitors are offering remote work, and this is what everybody's looking for, or at least partial remote, and they're not doing it, they're going to lose top talent to other organizations in the acquisition process, in the interview process, as well as in the retention process, and keeping top talent in the door. So it's a very interesting time right now for talent acquisition and retention. And I think remote is going to play a huge part in that. And then there's going to have to be other benefits too, that companies are going to have to attract top talent, because once things are back to normal and everybody's operating at normal speed, and again, e-commerce is going to be a huge focus and companies are going to be investing very heavily in it, there's going to be a war for talent. There's only a certain talent pool that everybody's going to be competing for. So how is your company going to remain competitive in that environment?
Yeah, I mean, the remote working one's an interesting one. it's definitely going to be accelerated, and we've already seen a number of our clients kind of, announcing already new policies around how flexible they're going to be on that. So that's, it's accelerated change that's had to happen. I think we see a real kind of two ends of the spectrum in terms of a lot of the older, corporate blue chip businesses we work with who have been slow to adapt. Other end of the spectrum, certainly probably more in our nurture client base, where it's a lot of startups, and they've come at it from the complete other angle, right? It's kind of, you do whatever you need to do to get your job done. It doesn't really matter where it is. And there's definitely been a talent drain away from the corporate on the one end towards that, and that's definitely a huge reason for that. Certainly, I think that's the same for you, I guess, the same globally, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Andy, you do most of your recruitment in London and Manchester, right?
Predominantly London, the southeast. I guess the other areas for e-commerce outside of London, Manchester, there's quite a few businesses. We do a little bit in Scotland. Actually, Edinburgh is a reasonable place probably more from a tech perspective. But there's a bit of a hub there as well. But those are probably the main locations. We do a bit in mainland Europe, but not a huge amount.
Yeah. So another video I think that we should do is if you want to join an organization, if you're in the US and you're looking for opportunities in the UK, how to best go about doing that. Or if you're in, if you want to work in Scotland, or if you want to work anywhere in Europe, how do you position yourself for that? How do you land those types of e-commerce opportunities? I think that could be another really interesting topic for us too.
Okay. Yeah, certainly. I don't think people are always that aware of how to go about that change, or who to speak to understand how to do that. So I've got a lot of thoughts, but I'll save them for that.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. You want to shoot off some rapid fire get to know you questions, and then we'll wrap up our first episode here?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
You put me on the spot a bit there.
All right. Good. I'll go first if you want.
Yeah, I don't mind. I've got a few now, but it's all right. Go on.
Okay. So, settle the debate. Recruitment, is it HR? Is it sales? Is it marketing?
The more I do it, the more I think it's marketing predominantly.
I'd agree.
With a bit of sales in there. I would say, certainly culturally at our business, we're not very salesy at all, and we would encourage our consultants to be very focused on being an expert in the area they recruit for, and developing that kind of brand. Personal brand is, I'm sick of hearing it, but it's so relevant at the minute, that kind of question around,
And I think that makes sense for niche
being an
agencies.
expert, being seen as...
I think it makes sense for niche agencies like ourselves to be more marketing focused. Having a specialized knowledge and expertise in a certain area that we could present to candidates. Obviously a huge value add to our clients, but also to our candidates too, in making sure that they're getting opportunities that are super relevant to them. And we're not spamming them, and we're not spamming our clients with resumes. Very much a targeted focus. And I think you're right, it is more of a marketing function, and that does come into play there. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
All right, good, excellent. So another question. If you were not doing recruiting, what would be your profession?
Well, for people who are eagle-eyed, it says on my LinkedIn, there's a very small blurb about what I did before I was in recruitment for a few years. So it would be related to that. I was a touring musician for a while, so definitely music related.
Yeah, what kind of music?
I would probably actually. I shouldn't have gone down this rabbit hole. This is dangerous. Pretty heavy. Screamo would probably be the best description you could use for it.
Nice. Some teen angst. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I loved writing music and more than probably playing shows. Like, that was fun, but actually, so like the production side of music was probably what I would have loved to have done, but
Yeah.
probably wasn't good enough to do.
Yeah. So, I mean,
What
you're doing
about
something.
you?
So if I was not to do recruitment, I would do something very creative. I think being sometimes a recruiter, you're head down, just sourcing candidates all day. You don't really get the chance to be so creative. So perhaps an artist or an actor or musician does sound fantastic to me if I had more musical ability, maybe. But
Yeah.
but I'm not quite sure. So how did you get into recruitment from music? Just going back to this a second, I got to do
Yeah. So,
it.
yeah, I mean, probably like a lot of people, didn't plan to get into recruitment. I did the music thing for 3 years.
Mhm.
The third year of that, I started my degree, but actually toured most of that time. So
Yeah,
scraped through my first year of university because we released an album just before I started, and then I spent most of that year touring and then doing coursework whenever I could.
yeah,
Um, and then the band kind of finished. So I finished my degree, which was actually geared towards getting a job in finance. Realized during that time that I didn't have any interest in doing that. So it was kind of like, right, what do I do now? I was actually really keen on the food and drink space, I guess, generally. So I was looking for jobs actually in that market. Came across Vertical Advantage, which David had just launched, which focused on recruiting in that space. I think I probably applied for a job he was recruiting for, but not internally, for a client. He did a good sales job on me, so there is a bit of sales in recruitment, because he said, "No, you're not relevant for that, but why don't you come and work here?" Yeah, and I guess I always had kind of known I wanted to run my own business, and he was only, I think there were 2 or 3 people in Vertical Advantage at the time, so the opportunity to kind of be somewhere that small and grow it, and he'd had success growing businesses in the past. That was what drew me in, really.
yeah, yeah. Excellent.
I probably didn't think I'd be there 2 years later, let alone 7. But yeah, testament to how much fun it's been, really.
Yeah, for sure. And you've seen the industry change a lot. I'm sure you focus a lot on CPG and fast moving consumer goods. That's been an environment that has changed very rapidly. I would say over the past 2, 3 years. Do you agree?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, certainly, e-commerce and digital it wasn't a team in our business when I started.
Yeah.
So it was sales and marketing and supply chain, procurement, logistics. We had 2 teams. Sales and marketing then started to pick up the odd digital and e-commerce job. And then we got a couple of projects with some clients doing, basically building a team from scratch in e-commerce.
Yeah, and it just snowballed from there.
Yeah, and so then we probably blagged it a bit at first, and then became our kind of way into e-commerce, really. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
excellent.
what
It's
about you?
funny how we're so alike.
Your journey to this has been a bit different. You did a bit in-house work initially.
Yeah, I did. I did. I was an in-house corporate recruiter for some time, originally financial services and then pharmaceuticals, but nothing related to e-commerce. And it wasn't until I joined Border Free, a global e-commerce software as a service company, that I got into it. Built that company from about 50 people to 250 people before they got acquired by Pitney Bowes. It was my baby. When you're working in-house and you're hiring almost everybody at the company, it's a really great feeling. You walk in there like cheers, everybody knows your name, and it's just a lot of fun. And the culture, had very much had a startup culture with lunches provided and just a lot of cool, fun activities after work and things like that. So it was there that I realized that there was a huge need for agency recruitment that understood e-commerce. We were actually using agency recruiters that they were very much generalist, large recruitment firms that didn't have any real idea of these roles that we were looking to fill. They were just doing their best. And I saw that they were doing the best parts of recruitment that I enjoyed, which is networking and sourcing and not having to do a lot of the reporting and job description creation and all the paperwork that goes along with in-house talent acquisition. And I was like, you know what, this is the time. I see that this space is taking off. There's really nobody out there that's doing what I think these e-commerce companies have a huge need for, and that's being able to really understand e-commerce and the roles that they're looking to fill and have this network already on tap. So that's what I did. We went out there and created e-commerce placement, and we started working with a lot of companies in the fashion apparel space and consumer electronics. That was extremely popular when we first started. And then really every industry since then, you can imagine, within home goods and food and beverage and consumer healthcare and beauty, really everything. So that's how we got started, and very similar to you, we grew with the need, right? So with clients that came to us with certain e-commerce needs, and also building out full teams and that sort of thing. It's interesting how you can really refine your business, talking with customers and getting a sense of what their needs are. You may have some idea and they come at you with what their actual needs are, and you have to bridge that gap. So that's been a fun process and very entrepreneurial. But yeah, I think e-commerce as a whole, no matter what role you're in, is incredibly entrepreneurial. Agency side, starting your own business in an e-commerce environment, or working for a large, well-established company and their e-commerce team, there's so much opportunity out there, and that's what I love about it.
Mm. Yeah. Cool. Well, back we've sidetracked from questions, so it's my turn to ask you some now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just going to go more simple, just to try and.
Yeah.
Adam and I haven't known each other for very long, so I'm just going to try and learn a bit more about him.
Let's do it.
Favorite sport?
Okay, my favorite sport to play is basketball, but I'm only 5'8", and there's no way I can compete at any sort of level. I can play with my 6-year-old son and dominate him, but that's about it. My favorite sport to watch is baseball.
Muggsy Bogues.
Okay, so actually, Muggsy Bogues was 5'3", so I had 5 inches on him, but he was incredibly talented, which I'm not. My favorite sport to watch is baseball. I watch it with my dad. I've been watching it with him since I was a little kid. I can't wait for baseball to get back this season. I hope it does. He's 75 years old, and it's just, I don't know how many more years that I'm going to have to be able to watch baseball with him, and I hope it comes back soon. So super excited. We're Mets fans. In New York, there seem to be a lot more Yankees fans, so we're outnumbered. The Mets really have not been that great since like '86. So, but I like the underdog, really, in everything I do, and in every sport I watch. I really root for the underdog.
Yeah, we're everyone in the UK, or certainly it feels like that. Maybe that's just reflective of the people that I know, is very gripped by The Last Dance on Netflix at the minute.
So I actually haven't started that yet. Have you?
Yeah, I'm almost finished. Not quite, but
yeah, that was the NBA. That was prime time for me. That was my favorite time to watch the NBA, with Jordan there. And I'm a little bit later, a little bit after that, I'm a Knicks fan too. So Knicks had a pretty good team for a little bit after that, but then for the past, I don't know, what has it been, 20 years? They've been terrible. So I've kind of fallen out of NBA for a bit and focused a little bit more on college basketball, which I find a little bit more enjoyable at this point. Right. They work a lot harder, and I think it's just a bit more fun. It's not a very long season, and I don't know. I think it's just a bit more fun at this point.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I could. I'm fascinated by it. I could get into more and more, but I'm sure people don't want to hear us talking about sports for an hour.
Well, let's do these quick questions after each video. I think it is fun to get to. It's a segment on get to know your favorite e-commerce recruiter with Adam and Andy, right? I think it's fun. Good. All right. Well, we're super excited to put out a ton of content, to work together on this, to have the really cool US versus UK twist on it, and to get the different perspectives. And if you guys, again, have any questions or any ideas for video topics going forward, let us know. Hope you found this a bit enjoyable. Yeah, Andy, I look forward to working with you on this. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be fun.
Good. All right. Take care.
Cheers, Adam. Bye.